Hey guys, good morning. It's Cecilia, aka ForRealCeil, what 90 Days Can Do, and the MLS Bitcoin Club. Just coming to this beautiful Monday morning. Oh my God, it's so chilly out here today, but it deserves an encore. So, it's another day in the neighborhood on my way to work. So, listen, I was talking the other day to one of my staff members, and we were discussing, some office stuff, and I was like, why me? He said, why not you? I said, damn, yeah, why not me? Then I started thinking about all of the things that I've seen, done, been, experienced, and done. Like, I can go back as far as, being a child, learning things and experiencing things and seeing things, and I've had a rich variety of experiences, some good, others bad, some really bad, and others really great. I've experienced meeting some very powerful people, and been blessed with a lot of family and acquaintances, and had a great amount of experience in doing a lot of things. I've been in the same career for 24 years now, going on 25 years in home energy assistance program. I was a I was an assistant supervisor in Bergen County for 10 years prior to leaving Bergen County cap and going to La Casa de la Federal in Newark, and I've been at La Casa for 14 years now, and as a manager for Essex County. I've done a lot. Let me go back, because I've had so many jobs, and if I think about the jobs that I've had, whether they were small jobs, whether they were low-paying jobs, whether they were fun jobs, or whether they were difficult jobs, they all prepared me for one thing or another and taught me something that I didn't know before. So yeah, why not me? I guess I meet the criteria and have the fortitude necessary to do what I'm doing, or else I wouldn't be in this field for so long. And on top of that, even though sometimes the weight is heavy, I ain't gonna lie, it's a lot of responsibility. When you're managing a staff, when you are managing a program, you are like under a microscope, and there's a lot of things that weigh heavy on me, like challenges and programs and funding and office methods, and the ability for staff to perform a task one way or another, or just the way the functionality of the day goes, because we have difficult lines, we have computer outages, we have downage, we have system malfunctions, we have all kinds of issues. A lot of people have health-related issues, family issues. There are a lot of things that go into managing and being human, and keeping that aspect of reality as part of how you deal with people on a day-to-day basis. So it's very hard, and I pray a lot about my own personal stuff and then other people's stuff, because I also know a lot of things. So I'm gonna go back to where I started talking about work. So before I was employed by an employer, at home we used to have chores. We would either have to clean something, rake something, pick up our toys, pick up our clothes, do stuff at the house. We had to make our bed. We had to, pick up after ourselves, pick up our toys and stuff. But I can't go because this bike rider, he's acting like he's a car. So I learned from an early age, well, you got to do some work. You have to do stuff, how to do stuff. Was I the fastest person? No, I was not. I remember my sister-in-law told me I'm slow as molasses. And I was like, wow, did she say you're slow as Methuselah? And I just lost it then. I was like, okay, I got to speed up. All right, I like to do things well. If I do them, I don't want to do them if they're not done well. So I try my best, and sometimes it takes me longer than others, and that is good, and it can be bad as well. So here we go. I was very, very young, watching my father take photos with a Polaroid camera. I was even younger when I watched him take photos with another kind of camera that he had to actually put stuff on a solution and make the picture develop in order to get pictures. I've watched him clean guns. I watched him play instruments, and I actually learned some piano. Very little. I was a terrible student. When it came to instruments, musical instruments, I don't understand why. I never had the aptitude to pick it up, but I was not the one. My brother Ray could play bass guitar. Lord, I don't think he plays the instruments, but he is very musically inclined. Myself, I love music. My children picked up the trait, so it must have skipped me. But my children could play a lot of different instruments. They're very talented. My daughter, mainly when she picked up keyboard easily, she played the clarinet, the flute, the violin, the piano. She really excelled in music class and all of that stuff. So I just wasn't one. So I learned that. I watched my father do masonry work. I watched him lay sidewalks in our property, lay our patio, break up stuff, garden. So I'm picking up all these traits and things that I'm learning bits and pieces of, and asking questions about why rocks and sands go in mortar, and what is this, and why do you do that. And I'm also learning that things that stand alone may serve as one function, but when combined with others may serve several different functions. I learned that it takes hard work if you want to get anything that's going to be sound. So if you want something that's going to be built to last, you have to put some sweat into it, and you have to care about what it is you're doing. So being a caring person, I guess that may be why me. From a very young age, I loved children. I love babies. I'm surprised I didn't have any babies pre-adulthood, but thank God I was an adult when I had my first child. I was a full-blown adult, 21 years old. But I loved kids, and when I was in middle school, I was 13, I got my first job. I was working with the day camp. I used to watch kids in the playground, watch them for recess, sit with them in day camp, monitor them playing with toys, break up little, fights and stuff, or make sure that nobody spilled anything or was in danger, or if anybody fell, pick them up and brush them off, change band-aids and stuff like that. Just daycare, So I was watching kids as a kid. That was my first job. My second real job was at the Watts Room. Actually, my second job was at the Learning Place in Fort Lee, off of Lemoyne Ave. I also watched children in a daycare environment. This was more structured. It was really inside a lot. We used to walk the kids out to like Burger King, or take them to the park, which was a minute away from the daycare. Take them back, read to them, watch them at nap time, make sure they all laid down and took their naps, prepare their little snack time for them. So sat with them and made sure they ate their food and stuff. Just take care of her, talk to them. I loved being around children because they were so unique and so interesting. They gave a lot of insight. Kids are very intuitive and they're amazingly smart. So listening to them made me an older person already, and I was still a young kid. I was still pretty young, but I just was like, wow, I'm learning that these kids have personalities. Everybody's different. Nobody's the same. Some are shy, some are more outgoing, some are talented, some are blessed, some are just very unique, some are introverts, so I learned very early on that there are all different kinds of personalities and traits. So again, why not me? I had another job. I was working at the Watts room, and this is a telephone survey room. They had us calling people out of the phone book, just asking surveys, different surveys. We would have to make a quota, and every day, if we made the quota, we'd get a bonus. So I would call people. We asked them questions about microwaves, about newspapers, about other stuff like that, and just a whole bunch of stuff. Like, these people, sometimes they hung up on us, sometimes they took our survey and we got through the whole call, which was briefly around 8 minutes. Sometimes they were 8-minute calls, and sometimes they were longer, because sometimes these people really wanted to talk. But I learned in doing telephone surveys that you have to probe for information. And when you probe people for information, what you're doing is asking another question and prompting them so you could do a follow-up question on that. So it's a very interesting thing. And I learned that by probing, here is another thing that I've learned. You gotta do that in order to get the information that you need to ask the right questions. So sometimes you have to probe or prompt a person and say, hey, if you had to say you were heating your home on your own, would you be using gas? Would you be using electric, or would you be using fuel? Or are you heating your home on your own? What type of fuel are you using? Are you using gas heat? Are you using electricity? Are you using fuel? Why would I ask a person that? Oh God, there's so many reasons. It would determine what kind of heating system they have. It would determine if they're eligible for certain type of funding. It would determine what amount of funding, if I knew the other characteristics of the household. It would determine, what utility vendor possibly may be in receipt of funds from that program. There are so many different reasons why we ask a question. And I learned that, probing, again, is very essential, and it can be helpful so you can give the best response and let people know what they need to know in order to carry on, to proceed, in the right direction. So if I didn't pick up that from that job, I would have been there for nothing, because the job didn't last that long. It was a summer job, and it wasn't a fun job because people hung up on you. But did I learn something? Yes. I learned how to speak to people. I learned how to break the fear of being shy. I learned how to ask questions. I learned how to take notes, and I learned how to follow directions. So those are little traits and things that I picked up from having a job that really, wasn't that interesting, but I did learn something. So why me? I guess it's because I had the aptitude to learn out of something that wasn't my favorite thing to do. So then I worked at a place called Robert's Sunglasses. And at Robert's Sunglasses, we sorted sunglasses. They came already made. I didn't really got to do any creating glasses, but every now and then we did have to put the handles on them, like put the screws in the handles. So we would do that, and we would tag them, and we would sort them by design, by type. So some were heavy, some were shaped round, some were dark lenses. We had to shape them by shape, by tint, and by size, frame size. So we had large, medium, and small frame glasses, light tints and very dark tints. We had mirrored tints, and then we also had, different shapes. So it would be a square shape, round shape, oval shape, or other. So we would tag them, sort them, put them in boxes, or pack them per specification. So they would ask for different type, like 10 SKU number 42753, and then we have to go up on the bins and get the glasses and put them in boxes and sort them out like that. So it would be a dozen here, 10 there, 5 there, 6 pair of these or whatever, and then pack them, put them on a tray. They come and pick them up, and then that was what we used to do at Robert Sunglasses. And I'm remembering this, and these are jobs from when I was still a kid. This is not even my adult life jobs, all right? So after Robert Sunglasses, I had a job at oil company on Van Brunt Street. Oh my God, I forgot the name of the place. Something Oil, Supreme Oil. So Supreme Oil, what we did, I initially got hired as a bottle stripper. So the big 5-gallon jugs of oil that you buy like at Costco's and BJ's, those big bottles, the square tubs. Well, we used to have a conveyor belt. Bottles would come out of there, and the bottles come and they're perforated. The handle still has plastic in it. The bottom has a flap of plastic on it, and the top lip around the nozzle also had plastic over it, because the machine cuts it and shapes it and it blows it up, and then it makes the bottle. But we had to rip while it was still warm, because if they waited too long, we wouldn't be able to get it off. Pop the handle out, rip the bottom off, rip the top off, boom, boom, boom. All right, do that. Throw the plastic inside. It goes back into the machine somehow and remelts and makes more bottles. That's all we do. Do that. Stick them in box. Put them down the conveyor belt. Put them down the conveyor belt. Somebody else would stack those boxes of empty bottles on skids, and then a fork truck driver would take that empty box and take it out and put it in the room, waiting for them to fill those with oil, right? So I did that for quite some time, and then a couple of nights, fork truck lift driver didn't show up. So I said, well, I could drive that, I could do that. So why not me? I was interested. I liked watching them. They looked like they were having fun driving around in circles, which is dangerous. But I learned to drive a forklift, and I learned to stack skids, and I learned to load and unload trucks with a forklift. I did that for a period, and then I was using the Cobra wrapper and all kinds of things. So I learned something everywhere I went. And I wound up leaving that job because I had to curse the manager. I actually pulled a knife on this guy because he was trying to fill me up. He would come down the line talking to the girls all crazy and stuff, and we used to work overnight, and this guy was a real pervert. He was just nasty, and he would come up all on up behind us and stuff and be trying to rub on us and shit, and I wasn't having that. So I still was bad. I was a bad girl for a period of time. I used to carry my 007 all the time. So one night he approached me in the lunchroom, and I pulled a knife on him, and I threatened him, and I told him, you're fucking with the wrong person. You better not be doing that, and you're gonna come up short, and you're not gonna pressure me. He's like, oh, but your job is important, right? I was like, yeah, and so is your dick. I will cut you. You just don't know me, So after that, he was like, I want you gone. I said, well, then fire me. But he didn't fire me, but I wound up quitting because I was uncomfortable. I didn't feel comfortable there, and I would have gotten in so much trouble. So in the interim, I went and I started looking for another job, and I found a job. I worked at United Stationers at the top of the hill on Palisade Ave, there was a stationery store. So United Stationers, what I did is I drove and I delivered stationery. I drove a van, I loaded and unloaded a van, and I delivered stationery, paper, copy paper, facsimile paper, all kinds of notebooks, pens, pencils, stationery to offices all over New Jersey. So I would drive this van, and sometimes I had to carry like crates of paper upstairs. Sometimes they didn't have an elevator in some buildings, so I got very good use of a hand truck. I learned how to lift heavy stuff. I learned how to lift heavy stuff and move my body the right way to prevent from getting hurt. Also, how to organize things and made it easier for me to do my job. So again, some people say, why me? Why not me? Now I know how to do all these different things. I know the significance of being able to move and maneuver things. And I also know how much paper and how much office supplies people can go through. So I learned how to organize. I learned how to determine how much supplies to order for my staff. Now, I would not know, what to order, when to order, what do they need, how are we going to do this. I wouldn't be able to do that if I had not learned anything from that experience. I also learned how to read maps. I'm talking about real maps, not Google Maps or anything. I'm talking about a map that you hold in your hand, a book that's on paper, and that was very helpful. It took me a while. It took me a while to learn that because I was always looking at the maps backwards, and whatever the map looks upside down, that's the way the map should go. But that was a great trait, and if you learn how to read maps, you'll never be lost. You can't really trust these GPSs. These systems malfunction sometimes, and if you can't grab a real solid map, if they even make them anymore, and they probably do, it would be best to always have one handy in the event of emergency when all else fails. Because if you don't know your way somewhere and you relying solely on these GPS systems, sometimes they fail. And I know that because I've gotten lost when I couldn't get no signal, or I hate this Android Auto. I would prefer having a built-in navigation, but I have Android Auto, and sometimes if the phone don't link or the USB cord move or stuff like that, it just don't work right, and you will get lost. All right. So again, why not me? Well, I say this all to say, I like working. I always work. So after the stationery store, I worked at a little place. It was called Abco, and we did some products like toothpaste, cosmetics. All I did was pack stuff. Everything came made. There was a time, oh God, we had toothpaste. They were doing toothpaste with the baking soda. So one side was gel, one side was baking soda, and we had to just fill the tubes up, and we would just fill tubes all day with the bulk stuff, and then package it, make it look pretty, and put it in skids. Cosmetics, sort them by color, put them in pallets and stuff, and put them up. Fill bottles of perfume or wrap stuff up. That's all we would do. It was just a little bit of stuff that we had to do there, but I learned. I didn't know how to fill a tube of stuff. We had machines that did stuff, and how to seal them with the heat gun or the pressure thing. So that was a good job. I also worked at Union Photo, and at Union Photo I was a laminator and a film stripper, and I did a lot of different stuff. And I could go on and on and on about jobs, but when I think about it, and I think about all the things that I've learned and all the things I do, and I come to this, and I'm here at this job, and I'm like under stress, and I'm like, wow, I got a lot on my shoulders, and I'm thinking, why me? Why not me? Why not me? Because I'm qualified. Make sure that when you think about yourself, hold on. So when you think about your role at your job, wherever that job may be, just think about all of the experience that you have, all of the time that you spent working in a field or working at something or towards something, and applying knowledge and skills and all of that stuff, right? And then say to yourself, why not you? Why not you when it comes to being the top of your class? Or why not you when it comes to being that athlete that excels? Why not you when it comes to being that manager or that boss? I'm a person who tries to do the best I can at anything that I'm doing. And right now, I find that I'm pretty successful. I like some of the results I get, and sometimes I need to work on it, and some of the times I need to work on my own self. So I'm growing and I'm learning. I'm sharing what I'm learning, and I love it. I've picked up a lot of great things. I've been blessed. So I could go on and on and on, but right now I don't have the time because I'm at work and I gotta go. But maybe I'll continue this. I'll do part 2 of Why Not Me. Okay, you guys have a great day. Bye.